It's Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. It's the French Open time. It's the second major of 2024. We've gone through the outright market. Now it's time to look at the best bets on the men's singles first round at Roland Garros. And to do so, I'm delighted to say joining me, as per usual, is our senior ATP Tour tennis handicapper. It's Sean Calvert. Sean, it's the French Open. I'm getting excited. I'm getting very excited. I'm looking forward to it. Well, I'm hoping that you're equally as excited. Are you excited about it? I love the majors. Come on, what's happening?
Don't get excited. Don't get excited.
We must have some nice.
Well, yeah, hopefully. As I said in the other show, you know, it's not normally a place where I look and think, oh, it's the French Open next week. Loads of underdog winners there. You know, quite the opposite. Only 22% of them win at the French Open. So you do have to be selective with your bets. There's nothing worse than having a good clay swing. We've had a good clay swing, haven't we? You know, a few outright winners, and you know, it's been decent. Nothing worse than coming to the French and having about 8 bets in round one, and none of them win, like one of them or two of them winning. So you have to temper this excitement of a Grand Slam. The worst thing you can do in any Grand Slam, I think, is get really excited, feel like you've got a read on about 15 matches, and have loads of bets, and then you end up not winning that many, and you're on a real downer and a bit of a catch-up for the next 2 weeks. So my advice would be selective with your bets this French Open.
Do you know what I am? I'm one of these people that does 3 or 4 bets in the start, usually what you advise, and then when I'm watching it live in play and I see a break go up, or I think, well, I've got to bet that one. Or there's a break there. I'm going to bet the over total games. I'm going to bet the under total games. So I start off with like 3 bets that I have pre-match, and then when the in-play starts, I've got like about 15, 16.
I wouldn't advise that. I mean, unless you've got about a dozen screens, and even then, you haven't got that many eyes to keep an eye on them all.
I haven't got very good eyes either.
Yeah, I wouldn't get involved. I wouldn't advise this. This is not an official.
Well, that's what I do. That's what I do. I do the 3 bets you do, and then I just get carried away watching it in place, pressing red buttons, watching courts all over the place until he's going to win, or I missed that one earlier. Do you sometimes, when you bet on the majors, do you sometimes like have these 3 bets and then you see a game start and think, why didn't I bet that at the beginning? Oh, I missed that one because there's so much to look at. You know, if you've got
that is a problem if you're being selective. So? If you are being as selective as I am, then you end up thinking, oh, you know, I'm going to talk about 5 matches here. I think I'm going to have 2 or 3 bets. If the other 2 win and the 2 that you end up choosing lose, that's kind of annoying. And then there because there's so many matches, and you've kind of got half an opinion on a lot of them. And some of the ones where you've had an opinion, but there wasn't any real strong reasoning for it, more of a feel, and they end up winning. You just think, oh, you know. But you can't, you know, the 64 matches, you know, you can't get carried away. I know it's difficult because you know, it's like a kid in a toy shop, isn't it? There's so many matches, and you think, well, you know, some of them are obviously no bets, you know, 1 to 50 or whatever, Nadal in the old days. But just, you know, try and narrow it down to 3 or 4. And if you must have a few more based on a feel or a sort of vibe that you get, maybe have them in a little parlay or something. That's generally how I would do it.
Yep, having a little parlay could be a bit of interest. But remember, if you can't find the market, BetRivers have 40 different markets for some of these matches. So not only are there 64 different matches, there's 64 different matches with 40 different markets. So you can have a bet on every single match. And every single market, if you wanted to, you know, it's just crazy. It's a crazy time. It's a great time to get involved in the tennis action. Head across to the BetRivers, and I promise you, and I say it all the time, it's the French Open this week, Wimbledon Cup, and the US Open as well. You will not find a better array of markets stateside than what BetRivers offer on the tennis. It is number one, and we are the number one betting podcast for a reason, because we give you the winners. And the man who does them to you is Sean Calvert. So, Sean, first up, the first bet for the first match we're going to talk about of the 2024 French Open is Nishioka against Felix Auger-Aliassime. Now, these 2 players have played many times before, 6 in total, 3 wins apiece. The first one was back in 2015, almost 9 years ago, in a challenger with Nishioka won. The last time they met was in Madrid on clay, which Felix Auger-Aliassime won, 4-6, 6-1, 6-4. But they also met at the French Open last year, when Nishioka at exactly the same stage in the first round. 2020, sorry. 2020. Nishioka won 3-0 on clay, 3 sets of love, 7-5, 6-3, 6-3. 3 wins apiece, 1 win apiece on the clay. So you would think it'd be quite level in the betting. No, nothing like that. Felix Auger-Aliassime is minus 670. Nishioka is plus 475. The spread is a massive 7.5. Felix giving up 7.5, minus 112. Nishioka receiving 7.5, minus 114. The total here, a relatively low 32.5 with over at minus 118, under minus 108. Given those stats, Felix Auger-Aliassime seems very, very low at minus 670, and the spread at 7.5. I wouldn't bet Felix Auger-Aliassime minus 7.5 against anybody.
He's too short. I mean, we know he doesn't like playing Nishioka. We know he doesn't like playing left-handers in general because, well, in certain situations, high bouncing ball from Nishioka's loopy backhand up to the Felix Auger-Aliassime, sorry, the Nishioka forehand up to Felix's backhand. It's a disaster waiting to happen. I mean, Felix doesn't have the most consistent of backhands. Sometimes he plays okay with it. Sometimes it's so loose. And if you just keep pummeling away at it like Nishioka does, or certainly has done in numerous of these meetings, you're going to have a problem. I think Felix is too short because he somehow made the Madrid final. But, I mean, how he made that Madrid final, I'm still not entirely sure. I think he had 2 retirements, a walkover, a tank from Adrian Manarino. I mean, it was the luckiest run to a Masters 1000 in living memory. Nothing to do with the way Felix played. He played okay, beat Casper Ruud. Yeah, he played all right, but that's at altitude. It's quicker. We've seen what Nishioka can do against Felix at this very tournament. It was a few years ago, but it's still the same principle. It's not an easy matchup for Felix, as I said. Even that day when he won in Paris in 2020, he was a plus 386 chance. Also, as you said, caused him problems even on quicker clay in Madrid. He won the opening set, didn't he, Nishioka, before Felix managed to serve his way out of trouble. And that's the key for Felix. His serve is a massive part of his game. The serve, the forehand, that's his game. Long rallies played mainly to his backhand, that's not his game. Doesn't like it at all. If you look at the head-to-head on clay, Nishioka wins 10% more points on second serve than Felix does. So he's been the better man from the back of the court in their clay court meetings. And unsurprisingly, Felix has won 10% more on first serve. So he needs a high percentage of first serves, get that serve firing. He has to do that in order to win this match. The all-time head-to-head, service points won and return points won totals, very little in it. Felix, 101, Nishioka, 99. So on the basis of that, you wouldn't have Felix as minus 670. If you had 2 players that had these stats, these head-to-heads, this record, you can't have one of them at minus 670. The other thing to remember is Nishioka is very underrated in certain tournaments. He tends to play a lot better in slams and the Asian swing than any other time of the tour. He made the last 16 here last year, Nishioka, which people forget. And his record here is respectable. He's been playing well on clay in recent weeks as well. If you gave Felix the option of a 3-0 win, he would absolutely snap your hand off in this match. I can't see him winning in straight sets. So I think the obvious play is over 3.5 sets, which is a minus 108 chance of BetRivers. I'd be very, very surprised if Felix came out a 3-0 winner here. The total is the other option, but what's kind of off-putting in that is that Nishioka is quite a weak server, so he can drop sets 6-1, 6-2 quite comfortably, which is why I've gone for the over sets here rather than the over games. But I still think that's a decent price on over 3.5 sets.
It also puts me off the spread as well, 7.5, because obviously you lose this big set,
which he can do
6-2 a big margin, and then win a tie break. It's pretty not very disheartening, isn't it? Really,
I wouldn't go games with him.
So you're going to go for
over 3.5 sets, which is basically the match has got to go over 3 sets. Obviously, one way. I can't see either man winning it in straight sets. I know Nishioka won this match in straight sets 4 years ago, but I can't see him doing that again, and I can't see Felix winning it in straights either. So I think that's a reasonable price, over 3.5 sets, minus 108.
Over 3.5 sets, minus 108. Is that the official pick?
That is one official pick, yeah.
So there is our first pick of the French Open 2024, over 3.5 sets in Nishioka against Felix Auger-Aliassime at minus 108 with BetRivers. The order of play is not out yet. We don't know if this week's Sunday or Monday matches. Remember, they start on Sunday. Like many majors, I don't understand why they do this Sunday. Why don't they just do Monday? It just makes no sense.
Not ideal, is it?
But it'll be early for you. be early stateside, 6 a.m. Eastern time. I'm guessing that these matches start. So make sure tomorrow on Saturday, or when this drops on Saturday, if you got it out later on the day, make sure you check the order of play and check the BetRivers website. And there's also probably 40 different markets to have a wager on this match. So Felix Auger-Aliassime against Nishioka is our first match up. We had lots of data to go on there with head-to-heads. We've also got lots of data to go on with the head-to-heads on the next match we're going to speak about, which is Humbert, the Frenchman, local guy, French support. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing at Paris, I'm not so sure. Against Lorenzo Sonego, the Italian. You would think the Italian is probably a little bit more comfortable on the clay. Well, he is more comfortable on the clay than Humbert. Humbert leads the head-to-head. No, does he lead the head-to-head? Yes, he does lead the head-to-head. Narrowly, 3-2. They've met 5 times before, 3-2. They have met 3 times on clay. This year in Monte Carlo, where Humbert come through a tight one, 2-1. But previous to that, they met in 2023 at Monte Carlo. Sonego won. And they also met in the French Open, which Sonego won in straight sets last year. So he's got to turn that on its head. But BetRivers think he can. He's minus 190 Humbert to win this match. Plus 150 is the price you will get now for Lorenzo Sonego. The spread is 4.5, plus 105 for Humbert, giving up 4.5, plus 4.5 for Sonego, minus 134, and the total is 38.5 here. There has been some line movement for Sonego. He has been bet. He opened up a plus 165. The money has come for him to 150. Do you think that's justified?
I really do. I mean, I watched Humbert play against Kopfer the other day in Lyon, and we had overs that day, didn't we? I think over 22.5. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that cash
22.5. Easy. Cashed easy.
I mean, I just don't think he's fit. Humbert, I think that's the problem. I don't really understand these prices. I thought the layers would have had this a lot closer based on the fact that Humbert quite obviously isn't fit. He had a knee strapping on for those of you that didn't watch that match. I imagine there's quite a few that didn't watch that match in Lyon the other day. So he had a knee strapping on because he's had a knee problem since Madrid. And I'll tell you what he said after he lost to Kopfer in Lyon, where he was the number 1 seed. He said, "I didn't expect to have incredible feeling today because I haven't done anything for 10 days. I couldn't train because of my knee. I did my best to be competitive, but I was a little short. Physically, it was tough." Now, that was a 3-setter, not a particularly long or arduous 3-setter. It was a run-of-the-mill 3-setter, not particularly long points. And he was struggling. You know, he started out well. He won the first set. You know, he was moving okay, playing well. Kopfer was in one of his funky moods, like he often is. Started talking about brain damage and all sorts of stuff to his team. He's quite the character, Kopfer, sometimes. But after that, you know, the movement wasn't right. He took the knee strapping off because that obviously wasn't. It was maybe hindering him or whatever. It just didn't look right at all to me. And now he's got to play the best of 5 on the most demanding surface against an opponent who beat him in straight sets at this tournament 12 months ago. And by the way, Sonego was a minus 143 favourite to beat Humbert this time last year. Now he was plus 165. Now he's plus 150 against a guy that's injured. So I don't really get these prices. Humbert did beat Sonego, as you said, in Monte Carlo, this clay swing, but their all-time head-to-head on clay favours Sonego. Service points won and return points won, total of 101 compared to 99 for Humbert. So advantage to Sonego there. I don't get the price, really. I really don't. I know Sonego's not been in great form, but you know, I think he made the last 16 last year here, Sonego. He beat some decent. They beat Rublev here last year, didn't he? Went on to make the last 16. So he's another player that I find him tough to call, Sonego. Sometimes he loses matches that you don't really understand, and then sometimes he comes up and beats a top player like he did last year, Rublev. Happy to take a chance on him. I know he's not been in great form, but I just don't think Humbert's going to last the distance, to be honest. So Sonego for me, for sure. Official play on that one.
Sonego had a good run. He beat Ben Shelton in round 1 last week. Humbert round 2. Rublev round 3. It was an epic match. It was a 5-setter. He come back from 2-1 down, and then he's probably run it. He'd won the first set against Kachanov as well in the last 16, and then he just lost his legs and could have been in the quarterfinals. So this looks to me a great bet. You know, I don't really get excited about a lot of the bets, but I bet them all, obviously, we say, but, the reasoning behind this bet and the actual odds here, I think that's a brilliant bet. I love this.
It doesn't seem right, does it?
And, and the pressure of French players in Paris as well, they never do well. And Humbert's flaky. He's never clay good. He's more a glass court player.
Yeah, he's not a clay man.
He's got
the pressure behind on clay this year. I think it's fair to say that. But I don't think he's fit. So,
no.
Just if you're backing Humbert at that price, with all due respect, that I think you're doing it wrong, because he may well win this match, but you want a much better price than that based on his condition. Sonego's, as you said, he's a guy that sometimes does rise to the occasion, and he's more than capable of winning this match. That's for sure.
Very much so. Love that price. It was plus 165. It's now plus 150. It's still an official play for us. Sonego to beat the man there, Humbert, the Frenchman. And the Frenchmen never really do well in front of their home crowd. Next match is a really good one. I mean, it's probably one of the best matches of the first round, actually. Two young, talented players coming through the rankings, moving up the rankings, Artur Fils and Matteo Arnaldi. They have met 3 times before in their short career, twice in 2023 and once in Miami this year. And Arnaldi's won them all, and he's won them all relatively easy. I know we had a 5-setter in the US Open where Arnaldi come through 6-4 in the final set, but Arnaldi is doing all right, and I would probably say that Arnaldi's a little bit more suited to the clay court. I know you've got the stats, you'll tell me all about that in a moment, but I think Arnaldi would probably be a little bit more suited to that. But yet again, Arnaldi's the underdog here, plus 120 for the Italian. The Frenchman, again in front of his home crowd, very, very huge factor. I think Artur Fils won the tournament before the French Open last year. Was it?
Yeah, he won Lyon last year.
And then he got beat in the first round, I think. He was minus 150. The spread's 2.5 here. It's minus 120 for Arnaldi receiving 2.5. Fils giving up 2.5 is minus 7, and a total very high 38.5 for the first round. When you consider a lot of the matches around about 33.5, 34.5, this is going to be the layers. BetRivers believe this is going to be a long one. But again, I think Arnaldi here, it's a 3-0 head-to-head. Pressure on the Frenchman. Frenchmen never deliver. At Roland Garros, I like the Italian, another all Italian via French.
Yeah, I can't have Fils here. I mean, he's done the same thing.
No,
that he did last year, this year, albeit at a lower level. He's won the Bordeaux Challenger last week on the clay, so that was his warm-up event this year. For whatever reason, he chose to play there. Just on the head-to-head, Fils is just far too short. I mean, technically, Arnaldi should be the favourite if you're going on. If you're going on the head-to-head, it's not. I know it's 3-0, but it's quite a dominant 3-0 in terms of service points won and return points won. Arnaldi 106 to Fils 94. It's quite a substantial gap. That's not a small gap where it could have gone either way. I know one of the matches was a 5-setter, but over the course of the 3, it's been very clearly in favour of Arnaldi. And one of the reasons why is that he's won 58% of his second serve points in this matchup. Arnaldi. Fils only won 43%. So once again, it's the Frenchman relying on his first serve, big forehand to get him the points, which he's not going to find that easy to do against a dogged defender like Arnaldi on the clay. It's a convincing head-to-head. It is all based on the head-to-head. This I'm always a little bit worried, if you like, about backing a guy that's won 3 out of 3 in what could be a sort of fairly close matchup, but I feel like if you're backing Fils here at minus 150 again, I just don't think that's right. I think if you do want to back Fils, you think he's going to win this match, I think you'll get a better price than that in play. In fact, I'm pretty certain that you will. As far as the money line's concerned, it's a lean for me because I never like these 3-0s. I'm not keen on them. You always feel like the guy that has lost the 3, you feel like he's going to have watched these videos over and over again and come up with his coaching team with a different strategy, bring something new that Arnaldi hasn't seen before from Fils. I suspect that's probably what's going to happen, and it might be enough for Fils to get the win, but I still think it's a bad price. For me, if you're betting in this match, it has to be Arnaldi at plus money.
That's another official play?
That's not an official play now. I don't like this 3-0 head-to-head business. A bit sketchy about that. I'm not keen. I feel like
I'll be there now.
I feel like Fils he's got to do something different because 43% second serve points to 58%. He's been quite clearly been the worse off player from the back of the court. I suspect he'll do something different. I don't know what it's going to be, But yeah, I think if you come into this match, you just want to bet on it. I will be taking Arnaldi for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, Arnaldi for me is the bet. I think there'll be money for the Italian, and I think this match could actually start a 50-50 call. Sean touched on it there about in-play. This could be an in-play match to get involved on the in-play. Remember, this is an offer BetRivers are offering throughout the French Open. French Open in-play bet insurance. Each day of the French Open at BetRivers Sportsbook, if your first French Open in-play wager loses, you will get a bonus back equal to 50% of your bet. It's good on your first in-play bet each day of Roland Garros. Minimum odds of -150 or longer. Good for up to $25 back in bonus wagers. See the BetRivers app for full details. The French Open in-play bet insurance. And this could be a very, very interesting in-play match, as well as lots of other matches throughout the day, throughout a couple of days, and throughout the tournament over at the French Open. There's a French Open in-play bet insurance offer with BetRivers. Check the app for all the details on that one. Next match, Stefanos Tsitsipas, very, very, very heavy favourite, very, very popular in the futures market to win the French Open after a good run winning Monte Carlo. He's -770 against Marton Fucsovics at +550. The spread is 7.5, exactly the same as the Auger-Aliassime match. Fucsovics is a heavy favourite though, +7.5, -134. Tsitsipas -7.5 is +105, and the total here is 33.5 with over -109, under -115. If you like your head-to-heads, you'll be racing to bet Tsitsipas here in the parlays, because they've met twice before. One of them was back in the Challenger in Genoa. Tsitsipas didn't lose a game in that match. He won the first set 6-love, and then he was 1-0 up before Fucsovics retired. And in Barcelona back in 2019, 6-3, 6-4, he won that. It's a long, long time ago. There's no relevance in the match whatsoever. But Tsitsipas is in form, but Fucsovics is a tricky little opponent to have in round one.
He's another one like Nishioka that tends to save his best for majors. He's always been that way, Fucsovics. He's the kind of guy that would retire a couple of days before if he was in a actually, he did win Geneva, I think, one year randomly, which is the stopping point to the point that I was trying to make. But generally, that Geneva title aside, he's always been a guy that would maybe withdraw a few days before if he felt a tweak. And he is a guy that gets injured quite a lot, but he's a guy that does. He loves the slams. And this looks a tricky opening, as you've said. If you look at the clay stats in 2024, they're actually very, very similar. Fucsovics at main level on clay this year, 78% win rate. Remember, he won the title in Bucharest. 78% win rate and a service points won and return points won total of 106, and a service hold and break total of 113. Very similar to Tsitsipas. 81% win rate for Tsitsipas. A service points won and return points won total only of 104, as I said I think in the other show. Not that great stats from Tsitsipas, and his service hold and break total is 114. So you could certainly argue that Tsitsipas has faced, by and large, better opposition than Fucsovics has this clay swing. But when Fucsovics has faced top 20 opponents at the French Open, he's won at least a set 4 out of the 5 times that he's faced a top 20 opponent at this particular tournament. The only time that he didn't take a set was when he played Novak Djokovic and he lost the opening set 7-6, and ended up losing the next 2 sets as well. As I've said, Fucsovics usually saves his best form for majors. He beat Medvedev here at the French Open. I'm sure a few people remember a few years ago. I feel like he's got a set in him today. I can't see him beating Tsitsipas. I'm not sure he's quite that level to beat Tsitsipas over 5 sets on clay at the French Open. So I feel like this is one of the situations where you could take a chance on the set betting. Tsitsipas to win this 3 sets to 1 is a +230 chance of BetRivers. I feel like if you are getting involved in this game, this match, that Fucsovics, I feel he's going to win a set. I'm not confident enough to take a shorter price on the over games, which is over 33.5, I think the spread.
33.5.
I would prefer to take a bigger price. I can't see him winning more than a set, but I feel like he will take 1. So +230 BetRivers on Tsitsipas to win this one by 3 sets to 1.
Yep, 3-1. Tsitsipas is the bet from Sean there. It's not an official pick. It will be a lean at a nice price. We got one more bet? Have we got one more match to go?
Yeah. I had to change the bet,
the final match.
The match, because one of the prices came in quite considerably, so we couldn't do that one. So this is
Yeah, and the match that we were going to talk about, that's why I got a little bit confused. The match we were going to talk about was Monfils against Seyboth Wild. And Seyboth Wild was even money to win their match. He's now down to minus 150. I can't believe that.
He's got that short, has he?
I couldn't believe the even money price, but yeah, he's gone down to minus 150. Yeah, huge move for Seyboth.
Yeah, I mean, that was the one I was going to talk about. We can't do it now. So instead of that, we're doing Nicolas Jarry against Corentin Moutet.
We are doing Nicolas Jarry, and we all know that you're very keen on Nicolas Jarry to go well in this week, and he's going to start off as a very, very heavy favourite. He's minus 295 against the Enigma, which is Corentin Moutet. Jarry does lead 3-1 in the head-to-heads, although Moutet did win their last match in Santiago, which was a bit of a shock in Jarry's own backyard. 7-6, 7-6 he won in the quarterfinal.
The crowd did not like it, did they?
Result. They did not like that. Prior to that, they played two challengers, which Jarry came through, and he also beat him on the grass in Halle. But he's a favourite here to rectify that defeat. He's a heavy favourite. He's minus 295 with BetRivers. Moutet is plus 230, spread 5.5, minus 103 for Jarry, minus 124 for Moutet, plus 5.5. As per usual in Jarry matches, the games are they're quite high. Not as high as you would expect, like 37, 38 kind of thing, but 36.5 with a money line at 295 and a spread of 5.5 is quite a high line. You would expect they're usually about 34.5. The bettors and the layers always want to be very, very on the overs whenever Jarry comes to the court here. Do you see any problems for our pick here? Do you think this should be pretty routine?
I don't think it's an easy opener at all, to be honest. I think Jarry will win it, but I don't think he'll win it easily. You know, Moutet's variation, if you've never seen Moutet play, watch him. He's a box of tricks. He's an explosive character. You know, he gets so many penalty points and all the rest of it because he just cannot control his temper at all. But with that, you get this almost sublime kind of way that he plays. A lot of drop shots, a lot of lobs. He's a real artist on the court. And that variation and unpredictability can be a nightmare for someone like Jarry, who likes moving from side to side, doesn't particularly like being brought up to the net. I mean, Moutet will try and drop shot him, I should imagine, on a fairly regular basis. Could be a nightmare for Jarry, this, if Moutet is on one of his go days, which you would think he would be at his home major, although you never can tell with Moutet. If he's not in the mood for it, he's not in the mood for it, whether it's the French Open or the Bordeaux Challenger first round. He's up for it or he isn't. As you said, Moutet beat Jarry in Jarry's home tournament at altitude in Santiago. If you're beating Jarry on clay at altitude, you're doing something right. No doubt Jarry will look to do the same to Moutet here, get his own back, beat Moutet in his own backyard. But I feel like this is over games. I think Jarry will get there, but he might have to go the scenic route. I think one option here, which I think is quite good, 5 of the 8 sets that they've contested on all surfaces have gone over 10.5 games, including the 2 matches that they've played on clay. And 3 of their 4 opening sets have also gone over 10.5 games. So when I looked earlier at the BetRivers website, the price on over 10.5 games in the first set, plus 255, I thought that was quite generous. So that would be where I'll be going in this one, either over the games in the first set or over the games in the match. I think the value is over 10.5 in set 1. I think it'll be tight to start this one.
When we usually do this show, there's only about 6 or 7 matches that I have to scroll through to find if the price is still there. I've got to scroll for 164 for it.
Let's just say the price is plus 255.
Let's just hope let's hope it's. I'm still scrolling through. Oh, I found it. So what have we got? In set number 1, we are looking at over 10.5 plus 220.
So that's gone a little bit.
Yeah. So plus 220.
Still decent. I think anything over sort of 2 to 1 is decent. So. Yeah, I would suggest you go there if you're having a bet in this match. Watch this match anyway, even if you're not having a bet. Just watch Corentin Moutet. It'll be interesting.
I think he's a brilliant player to bet in play because he goes to break up. You can guarantee it'll be a breakdown. Yep. The market moves, and I think it's a really, really good in play bet. If he goes a break point up and break up, and you can get a much better price Jarry, then get on, because within 2 service games the break's going back the other way. He's
normally self-inflicted,
a very strange
as well.
player to watch. Yeah, he's a very strange. I love playing these games because I love going against the market whenever he goes up. So it's some really good matches there, Sean. I mean, they are really good, and the whole tournament's going to be really good because it's not dominated by these heavy big favourites like Nadal isn't as good as he is anymore. Djokovic isn't as great as he is. So we will have some really competitive matches from round 1 all the way through. Just give us a recap of your official picks for the first round of the men's singles at the French Open.
The official picks, I'm just going to take 2 because the price disappeared on the other one. First one was over 3.5 sets in the match between Yoshihito Nishioka and Felix Auger-Aliassime. That was a minus 108 chance for BetRivers, plus 1.93 in decimal. And the other one was just a straight win on Lorenzo Sonego, plus 150 was he in the end against.
Yeah, he's gone down a little bit moved now from 165 to
plus 150 to beat Humbert. Those are the 2 that I'm taking. It was going to be 3, but unfortunately the price disappeared.
And remember, there's going to be loads of twists and turns in these matches. In play is going to be at its best. There's going to be 64 men's matches. Check the BetRivers website when they start. The start times is stretched over 3 days, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And BetRivers do have this French Open in-play bet insurance each day of the French Open at BetRivers Sportsbook. If your first Open in-play wager loses, you will get a bonus back equal to 50% of your bet. Good on your first in-play bet each day of Roland Garros. Minimum odds, minus 150 or longer. Good for up to $25 back in bonus wagers. See the BetRivers app for full details. Remember, all the French Open, Wimbledon, Euro 2024, whatever you want on the tennis world and on the soccer scene, we have you covered here on Betting Weekly Studios on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Great load of numbers subscribing. We want you more to come along. If you've got a question, ask it on the question box. We're happy to answer any questions you have the next show that we'll be back on. If you want to download the podcast, Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, get your questions in as well on that. You can DM me on Twitter at Seeley_Nigel. Make sure you follow the company Twitter account and follow us on Instagram, which is at Because We Win. Huge amount of content coming your way over the next couple of weeks or so, or the next month actually. It's going to be absolutely crazy. The soccer season's over. I thought I'd have the rest, but it's going to be absolutely mad. Myself and Sean will be back probably Sunday. Yeah, look at Sunday. Hopefully we'll have some matches for the second round on Sunday. We'll tweet when we come back, but the order of play is quite difficult in this first session because it's stretched over 3 days. So hopefully we'll be back on Sunday. If not, we'll definitely be back on Monday. Sean, have a great weekend, my friend. Thanks very much. Good luck with your picks. There is an outright show where Sean and I go through the best bets on the winner market, which you'll be able to find on the YouTube show, if you download the podcast, Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. And also, there's an outright on the ladies singles as well, with an informed Rory Giovanni, who has 2 finalists this week over on the WTA Tour, and that is Betting Weekly WTA. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. It's a bank holiday over here in the UK, so it might stretch over to a couple of days, but enjoy the weekend, enjoy the content, and hopefully let's cash some tickets. Good luck with your bets over the next fortnight here in Paris at the French Open.